me about Tana? Does that feel
Yes,
good?
yes. So you're right. This meeting that I was on, so they got into it was a big drama because this week they announced a completely different,
Drama.
a completely different version of Tana, this app that I use all day and all night, and everyone was freaked out, and
Freaking
so
out.
they just had an AMA, and it looks actually really great. It looks like a much, much, much simplified version of Tana, but very focused on teams. It's going to have a Canvas version. So
Whoa.
I'm
Yes, please
immediately
and thank
like,
you.
put your maps in there, your just like the best TTRPG prep device in the
Interesting. Hey Matt, we're
world.
live. There are people on the interwebs watching us right now. So
Well,
far,
welcome
our
everybody.
buddies Rabbit and Josh, who's going
Hey,
up against a
Rabbit.
wall. Josh, I hope you win. I hope you kick that wall's ass. Um, I've checked in chat. If you're also here, say hi. And if you're not here,
Howdy.
we miss you. But you
Yeah,
wouldn't hear me say that anyways because you're not here, right?
that's right. What are we doing, AK? What are we
What
doing
are
here?
we doing? Do we even
I
know?
know
Do you know? Do I know?
not. I mean, this is an inaugural situation. This is
Ah,
a very working. Can you hear me, by the way? Am I
I
far away or
can.
am I good?
I mean, you can
Okay.
always be a little louder. I'll take more Matt as opposed to
What's
less.
up, everybody? What's up,
Hey.
everybody?
This is a completely off the cup. I don't know, a cup off the cup.
Off the
Off
cup.
the cuff. It's going
In the
to
cups.
it's
More
in the
like,
cups. We're in our cups, but off the cuff.
yeah, this is not water, it's vodka.
This will likely evolve, but the idea behind it is to, well, let me start with this. For those of you out there, the three of you out there that don't know, Allison and I have ADHD. And we just
That is
kind of wanted to
brand new
like,
information.
what? We just kind of wanted to like let it all hang loose and see and to prove honestly that we actually do this work, and this is how we do the work, and we do succeed. There is a end result that is achieved.
Yeah.
So this is meant to be super raw, but it's also kind of like our work time. And I won't lie, I'll just go ahead and say it. This is also kind of a way for us to steal ideas from
Yay!
y'all,
We are letting
because
go and have a plan early.
that's what it's all about. If anybody has been a part of Mike Shea, Sly Flourish, the Lazy GM's Sunday morning chats on Twitch. That's what I kind of hoped this would be. Super raw, super yoinkers. Oh, you want yoinkers? You want yonkers?
I'm lost in the
Yeah,
answers.
you know what I'm saying. To be completely. And if there's anything that we come up with that we need to share in a more video form, a more permanent way, we can do it. But
Yeah.
I've just really long admired Mike's thing, and this is the kind of thing that you might listen to in the background. You might have something you want to work up and follow along. I don't know. You do you. We'll figure it out.
Boo. Jake Kev just dropped in. Greetings, Topsy Tribe. I like that.
Ooh.
Yeah, Team
Topsy
Topsy Turvy. We're here.
Tribe.
We're here live. Yes, and to all those things that we are getting over. So, for anybody, longtime listener, first time caller of ADHD 20, everything okay over there, Matt?
Well, do you hear that sound?
I do.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Hold on one second. It's the wind blowing my.
I
Hold
was
on.
wondering as we see tumbleweeds
Wind.
just moving back at the behind Matt's screen. So I'm gonna say a bunch of things that he's gonna have no idea what I've just told you guys when he puts his headphones back on. So, anyways, are we in complete agreement, chat, that that's what we're gonna do to Matt later? Great, thank you. I thought you might side with me
Nice.
on that.
Very nice. I love that old trick.
So funny. Yeah. So, y'all know that one thing that I personally struggle with as we'll call it a charming side effect of my own neurodivergence is perfectionism. I do not want to start anything if I'm not going to be perfect at it from the jump. I don't want to do anything if it's not going to be great. And I don't think that's a good way to live, you guys. So
Yeah,
this is
and
my
it's-
way of breaking myself out of that cage and just putting, as Matt put it, raw shit up on the internet
Yeah.
so that I see it's
Call it what it is.
not so bad.
You know, let me also say this, that this is a relatively new place that we are both stumbling into, right? We talk about a lot in our last episode of ADHD 20, these discoveries that we made in 2025 and these, life events that kind of led us here. And then what we learned by, from 2025. And we keep talking about it. And the idea of less is more is so much easier to say than actually do. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I have been a fan of Mike Shea's for years, and
It's true.
it's just easier to say than it is to do. I think
Yeah.
to find a way to be able to say, hey, you should prep less, and then find the tools together to be able to
Yeah.
kind of teach that is what we're going for. It's what we're going
Yeah.
for. So we're on the same place. We're in the same place. We're on the same zone. All of us together, I think.
Cool kids.
We don't
Buzz.
know. Yeah.
Yeah. I will share a quick success story. I'm
Please.
campaign GMing Daggerheart right now for a group of our lovely patrons. And I've been trying to walk the walk, talk the talk that we keep talking about of like less prep is more. Because you want to leave space at the table for your players to get to have their moments and surprise and delight you. And if I try and pre-script everything, then it's just a race against time as I try and shove everybody through some kind of gauntlet. And I've been having so much more fun. The less I prep, the more fun I have. I'm here to say I didn't take my own advice at first, and now I am, and it feels pretty good. Not my advice, everybody else's advice that I was hesitant to go on with.
Everybody's advice. Yeah, I mean, I also think that we're not necessarily talking about world building all the time. Like I love spending time world building. I love spending time
Interesting.
dreaming up things, but that to me is more writing.
Yeah.
In some ways.
Yeah.
And I'm not lumping that into what we're talking about today, really.
Okay.
There's parts of it. Well, the reason I say that is that a writer, you can't really say, hey, write less. I don't think that really works. I don't want to, we're not trying to like get rid of the fun, but the days of prepping for things that may never happen at your table, that's the futzing that we're both trying to rid ourselves of.
Yeah.
That we can spend more time building out a town or a pantheon or something like that, right? Because that might be better energy spent, right? It just might be better energy spent in general, or reading somebody else's stuff if you want inspiration. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, shall we stop delaying the inevitable and
let's do it. Too late. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so I'll set the scene up here real quick with exactly what it is we're working on today. So this is kind of the idea that is what led to the creation of Table Topsy-Turvy. Not this particular one shot, but like this idea that like, what if in collaboration with our community, we're kind of like building these table-ready tools to deliver. And so if you're a part of the community and a part of the Patreon, you'll kind of get to see from the ground up and get to influence us and help us build it. This is what Matt and I were talking earlier about, idea yoinking. And then, there will also be a finished product that people will be able just to grab and hopefully with very minimal prep, say, okay, I'm running this tonight. And, we'll try and make in hooks and inroads so that way you can, put it in a campaign if you're just looking for something, like I can't write anymore this month. Or, if you need an interlude, we've experimented to some degree with, it doesn't always have to be Matt GMing in our home game. Maybe if Matt's either out of town or just tired and needs a week break, who's to say that one of us couldn't grab either a different game or the same game at a different one shot and say, bring me some level 3 characters, and let's have some fun. So this is our first attempt at doing that. And what has kind of led us here today is there was a really fun one shot that we ran for patrons a year ago. I think it was last February. That I just had the most fun. It stood out to me because I had a ton of fun building it. And then I had a ton of fun playing it. We had 3 really good groups that month, and they all really kind of brought their A games with character backstories. And I got to do a bunch of nerdy little things that as a primarily virtual DM, I feel I never got to do. So I got to, like, ahead of it, make little invitations because the setting, it's called the Moonlit Reverie. And the setting was, you're being invited to this masquerade ball and your character doesn't know why. And then I left it up to the players on, like, you can be nobility, but it might be more fun if you were not the kind of person who would ordinarily be invited to a ball. And because we play in this really cool community with all these amazing people, like I said, they brought their A game. And so they were like, we have a Discord and they're dropping their backstories. And so then I'm like, before we even get to the ball, I'm finding these threads and things like that to pull. So that's why I say this could be something that you can drop into an existing campaign if you need some kind of, masquerade ball interlude, or if you just need something for fun. And so that's what got us here. And so our kind of plan for today, but feel free, those of you. So thank you again for Rabbit and Josh and J Kev and anybody else who might be here. Feel free to say hey in the comments. Let us know what you're interested in saying. When I was starting out as a GM, I was very, very frustrated that, like, people on the internet talked a bunch about GMing and prep and writing sessions, but nobody was ever willing to, like, show me their notes. So this is me showing y'all my notes. Be kind, be cool. But if there's something specific you want to see or talk through, either in the live chat or if you're watching this back later, drop us a comment and we'll gladly bend to the whims of the viewers.
Well, not not just bend to whims, but also I know that everybody does this differently, right?
Yeah.
Like, I absolutely know that this is a process, to your point. Like, yes, Mike Shea and a very few others, open up their journals and show them either weekly or in tomes. But not every bit of what Mike does works for me. It just doesn't. It can't. It's. I don't believe that I don't believe that Mike Shea has ADHD. I really don't.
Yeah.
So so some of the things that he comes up with, they don't work. So really, what I'm psyched about is to find out how you do. It's how you do your do the voodoo that you do, because I love tips and tricks and I love learning. And one of the things that we want to just punch through is this feeling that I can't GM because it's so hard. I can't GM because it takes so much time. I can't GM. Like, the more GMs there are, the more games can be played, the more people can play these games. Utopia.
Yeah.
Right. So that's kind of the idea. And so we're going to talk about easy mode a lot, because that's our goal for 2026, is to find the easy mode for both ourselves, but also in releasing these little adventures. How could you pick it up? Like, literally pick it up and just kind of boop. Go. Okay.
Beep, 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 beep. No pressure. Okay, so I wanted to, if you're tuning in for this and trying to, I wanted to give a little bit of context to any viewers. What is this about? So as I mentioned before, this is a masquerade ball. And the way I tried to build it is that I have a fun time with puzzles. I know puzzles aren't everybody's thing, and that's okay too. If puzzles aren't your thing, like, the thing with this is that, we're all finding ways that work for our brains. So if you take a look at this and you're like, puzzles aren't my thing, we will have an easy mode exit door that you'll still be able to do the ritual, but there won't be the puzzle aspect of that for you or your players. And, like, that's okay. So, like, knowing what kind of GM you are, which you will learn by experimenting. So even if you think you're not a puzzle GM, maybe try running a puzzle every now and again, just to see.
Or even like find the puzzle that you do like.
You
'Cause
like.
You will definitely
Yeah.
have an AK in your group. They're gonna want a puzzle every once in a while. But
Puzzle.
AK, could you blow up your text just a wee bit?
Blow it up.
Just make it a little bigger. Yeah, I know you
not
got
yet.
it beautifully. That's
I
better.
got a little too blown. Is that blown enough?
I think that's beautiful.
I feel so blown. Okay, so about the session, I wrote this for a level 6 one shot. Again, when we kind of publish the final thing, we will have some levers you can pull based on the level you want to meet your party at. It's a lavish masquerade ball, but you as the GM will know that it's not what it seems. And you can start to thread some mystery ahead of time. And so what players come to realize pretty quickly is that there is some kind of unending death loop going on in the ballroom where guests are kind of trapped in this loop, and the environment begins to shift unpredictably, and something beneath the celebration is actively pulling them into something sinister. And so the baddie of this is a character we've created named Lord Valen Callus. And he kind of steps forward in this triumphant moment and reveals his goal that he is actually performing a ritual, and you're all prey to it, as he wants to reclaim a legacy of his that was hidden, erased, taken, snatched from history. And yes, Rabbit, level 6 Daggerheart is what this was written for. And so in order to stop him, here's where the puzzle comes in. They kind of have to navigate through this constellation-fueled ritual. So they're both fighting him and solving the puzzle at once. And this was like the first time, like some of my puzzles have been big fat duds.
They're hard. I think they're really hard to be fun. Yeah.
They can be really hard. This was, I feel like, the first one. And I'm not trying to like toot my own horn here, but this was the first one that like the party seemed, Coney says hi. The party seemed into like finding and also fighting, which was like, you know, as a GM, all you could hope for, because you can usually tell when your party's glazing over and not interested in something. So
Yeah.
but yeah, if they don't stop this ritual, then Lord Callus is going to ascend, and that is going to be bad news bears for everybody involved. And they will be lost to history.
Can I interject real quick? I mean, that's already a fix for people who don't love puzzles, right? You've already built that in, that you could have people at your table kind of choosing which they want to. Is it the combat that they're going to really? So that's already a fix.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
am not
So the final version of this will have the stats, and so if you just want to run this as like this asshole is ruining a ball, and you just want to have everybody fight him for control of the ball, knock yourself out. We no issue there whatsoever. Also, our favorite disastrous goth has showed up, and we are lucky that he is still awake, or are we? We are. We're lucky and happy.
We're very lucky.
So yeah. So the very first thing that I always do, and you'll see these as we spend more time together here on the internet, you will get to know these. I always love to have just a little flow chart for myself at the very beginning. By the way, let me back up even further. This is done in Notion, and if you can't tell, I am a big fan of toggles because I like to just be able to scroll through here and like get to the part that I like to. So that's something that I do in all of mine, is that I just kind of like create the flow and then toggle the ever-loving shit out of it. Okay, so
if Notion is not your thing, trust us. I use everything else as well. So there's always going to be something. Just ask, because I've tried everything.
Yes, Matt has. Matt's your guy there. So I always start with just an encounter flow. That way, if I get lost in the sauce when I'm running something, I always can like go back to like, okay, what's the, and it's also like a quiz for myself. Like I do the flow after I've built the adventure to see how well I remember, and then give myself, something to do. So the encounter flow for this one is there are the arrivals and the introductions. Daggerheart is of course built as a collaborative storytelling game. So in something like a ball, you want to know what everybody is wearing and what they're hearing and where in the room do they go for next and who do they talk to and what are they looking out for, and there's just so many different things. In one of the sessions with Digital Twisted, our overlord, he had like put into his backstory when he got there that he was basically this lost soul looking for a lost love. So don't think I didn't just pluck that right in there and then suddenly we have that becomes another NPC and things like that. So look for those little hooks and those ways as you're running Daggerheart, especially, and other games, to incorporate the answers that your players give you. And so then what I had done is, they explore the hall, and I started to kind of like precede the ways that they begin to notice that this isn't an average everyday ball. And so I had preceded, and I'll show you where in here, some ideas for how they notice this. But again, this is a great place in Daggerheart to pause and say, what do you notice that tells you something is amiss, something is wrong? And throw it right back on the players. Then, dun dun dun, we meet our baddie, and he, of course, has his sweeping, beautiful monologue moment. And begins his ritual. Now, of course, I have already told you that there is a puzzle. I didn't tell the players that. They didn't know that. They just all of a sudden see him kind of like spring into action. And so at first they're, is like, okay, well, we just got to kill this guy, right? But then they begin to notice that there is something about the room that seems to be offering him some kind of fuel and fire. And then that's when they kind of discover the puzzle aspect of all of this. Then we have not necessary, but I had thrown in this NPC Celeste to kind of like come in and tickle us all at the height of the battle. And I love, especially whether things are going really well for the players or really, really poorly, also always love to have some kind of boon involved that kind of can maybe help push them to the fiery end. And then I always have like a.
Does she literally tickle the PCs, by the way?
She can if you want to, Matt.
Okay, nice.
I'll leave that to you.
Okay.
And then victory ? Try and have like a couple possible outcomes for if they succeed versus if they fail, and also just stay super open to secret option C, which we discover together around the gaming table. Okay, so that's kind of the encounter flow. So what we're doing here today, I built this, as I mentioned at the top of this, a year ago. So it was done in the playtest. So Daggerheart has changed and I've also, I've grown as a GM, Matt has grown as a GM, and so we just kind of want to go through this together today and find some ways to polish it up, make it better, make it clearer, and then the goal here is we're going to come out with a downloadable resource for anybody who might be interested in running this sweet little masquerade ball.
Yes.
So with that said, again, just kind of showing you the behind the scenes. I love some flavor text. So I tend to just kind of highlight them nice and big, give myself, kind of visual cues. So I know that this is a place that I can just kind of straight up read. I try not to just read out loud, but it's one of those if I get squirrely and nervous as I'm running, as I often do, I know that I can okay, we're coming up to a red box of text. I got this.
Yeah.
So we have their grand entrances. We don't need to spend a ton of time in here. NPC setup is something I think everybody can have a little bit of fun with, but we want to give kind of what Rabbit said earlier, some guardrails if you aren't feeling very creative. And then if you are, make your own NPCs. Ahead of this, I had just gone into Canva and I had created invitations for each of the PCs individually, and they each referenced something from their backstory, which was a whole lot of fun. So they kind of have to hand over those invitations, and then we have a moment where you'll give your party the beat as you step forward, present your invitation. And then, that's where I want to know, what are you doing? Where are you going? What are you most interested in participating in with the ball here? Any questions, comments so far, Matthew or Chad?
I'm actually having fun as you so delightfully run through this. I'm making comments in Notion as we go. So
ooh,
snazzy.
I love that.
Snazzy.
So then here's the other thing that I almost always do in any of the one-shots and games is that I give myself some ideas. We actually talk about this in a video that will be out on the channel soon, where I think a lot of us put a lot of pressure on ourselves as both players and GMs, that ability to improv on the spot. I'm not good at that. I when we talk about what's your panic response, flight or fight, mine's freeze. And so when I become any kind of overwhelmed or nervous, I get very So I pre-write shit. If I'm playing a bard, I pre-write vicious mockery. Like if I'm playing a GM, I pre-write, ways that I can give myself to indicate, things. And
Yeah.
I then just have this list up and I'm still tuned into the players and what they're saying, but now I know I just kind of have this fail safe, so there's no reason for me to panic. If somebody asks me something and I can't think of an answer, I can usually kind of go into one of these parts of my notes, which is why I do the toggle bit so I can get around pretty quickly. And be like, oh, right. Okay. Yeah. You wanted to know what that was. Yeah. Let me see. As a noble throws their head back in laughter, but their mouth is suddenly out of sync with, and just kind of go from there. And again, with Daggerheart, I would also lead with, but what do you notice? What do you see? So that's that part. And then just, again, some instructions to myself, letting them interact freely when they investigate something, choosing something small but undeniable. And then I, had given myself a couple of like, okay, once we really get into it, if they're either rolling incredibly well and it's just hope, 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 or things like that, these are some additional levers I can pull to sink them deeper into the tale.
Ooh, I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
With Daggerheart specifically, you've got that. It's both an incredibly cool mechanic for if you are a little dry on the improv, because you've got something pointing you towards hope or pointing you towards fear. But if your players have too much hope and you have zero fear, then it can turn against you, kind of, right? It has for me a couple of times, and vice versa.
And vice versa. Yeah, I definitely have like come into something and been like, I am like dripping in fear, and then I have not managed my resources correctly, and suddenly my players have run of the ball, and I'm going, So yeah, so we, have this kind of happy, fun time. Sometimes I've even gone as far. I tend to not, especially now as like a campaign GM or like in these one shots, I try and let it be a little bit more freeform. But say for instance, when I was running a Daggerheart one shot at Gen Con last year, in my notes I had timing written for every stage of this, so I know like, okay, by 45 minutes in, I need to be triggering the shift into Act 2. Otherwise, I'm never going to, get to X, Y, and Z in time. And so I kind of know to say, okay, great. So we're going to, and kind of usher them through. But that's really only necessary if you truly have like a time bind that you have to stick to. All right. So then, yeah, I gave myself the big trigger. Like once we have played around in the ballroom, we have noticed things, we have seen that things are a little bit hinky and wonky. It's time to shift the ballroom from illusion to nightmare. I feel like that's something that
was a nightmare.
Disastrous Goth.
It was a dream.
I gave myself a sound cue. And then, just some general, like I tried again, I want to be in the moment. So I didn't want to give myself a paragraph of text, but, just kind of like, okay, what is it? Okay. I need to remind them that the lights are flickering. Okay. I need to remind them that the sounds that they are hearing are suddenly sounding not of this world. I need to, remind them that the laws of physics don't seem to be applying to these bodies. And then, most notably the floor fractures. What does that look like? And again, ask your players, do you smell something, sinister in the air? And then, of course, we have our big moment when Lord Callus reveals himself. So, yeah, blah, 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 blah. We don't need to go into all of these different things. I did give him an opening monologue. And then now I'm starting to pre-build in some ways that you can pepper in some rolls. Because obviously, we're all a bunch of dice goblins. We want to roll our rocks. So, wanting to kind of give them... various DCs. So that way, if there's like partial successes, full successes, and different like things that the players can have with that knowledge. And I remember running this, and I think the biggest thing that I would change now is I wouldn't gate them to one particular trait, right? I would, again, follow up with them on how they're interacting in the room, what it is that they're up to. And so that way, if somebody they're not going for necessarily knowledge or history, but they want to spend their time as they notice these things going wrong, they leap into action. How do they leap into action? What is it that they're doing in the moment? Or they try speaking to him before he can open up his mouth to monologue. What would, presence look like and things like that. And then, yeah, here's all of the details. All of this stuff will be, kind of buttoned up in the one shot. And then it would usually be around this point. All of this took, roughly an hour to get to this point when we were running it and having fun, especially with like the player introductions and having them kind of cavort with everybody in the ballroom. So, once he had kind of like made his opening story, that's when we would usually go to a break. And that's when the fun would break out, when we would come back. Change out the map, reset the music, all of those different things. And so, yes, as you can see, I've really given myself some high quality labels and headers here. Rune stuff, everybody. And so rune stuff is there are 10 constellation runes on the battlefield. You must be on a rune to activate or destroy it. And so Callus is going to roll to activate runes while the players are going to be rolling to destroy the runes, and rolling with hope or fear affects the outcome. So it was Callus's, there are 10 runes on the floor. He needs to ascend. He needs to get over a majority of them. He's got to get 6 or more in order to be able to ascend. So each time he activated a rune, he's rolling for it. So it's kind of that player versus GM roll. If I'm whiffing on my rolls, he's not getting what he wants. Meanwhile, the players are rolling once they figure this out. And this was the part that took the longest, depending. Like I said, I had 3 groups. One got it immediately. The others, I was like, look what's underneath his feet. What is that? Does anybody want to look? And there was a little bit of railroading involved, I think, with one of the groups. And then I, kind of went, I had written all of these down as a new GM on a new system. I would probably say now, like, I wouldn't give all of this to myself if I were redoing it, because this was just way too much for me to, it's just kind of like in the moment, have a general idea of the DC, and then it's like hope, fear, destroy, ascend, all of these different things. So yeah. So he's running around trying to activate the runes, and what we learn is that this has to happen in a certain order. So he's not just and once the players get the order of it and realize that he's moving in this very calculated way around the ballroom, then they can start to get to runes before he gets to them. And so then it's kind of like we have 2 parties coming at each other like this, and that was kind of the whole rhythm and point of this. So Callus's goals: activate 6 runes in the correct sequence to complete his ascension. Party's goal is to slow Callus by destroying the runes and fully sever his soul by destroying all 10 runes in the right order. And here's where I had fun world building. I made up some constellations for our sweet little world.
That's right.
And I'm gonna, if you don't want to know the solution to this, look away. There's your spoiler. But basically what I did is I came up with each of the names of the constellations, and the solution was but people hear puzzles and they think they have to be hard. This could not have been any easier. The solution is that the next rune begins with the final letter of the word before. So I gave the party, because people of this land would know of these constellations. So if he was starting on Sableheart, the next was Tenebris. Tenebris leads to Sorin, blah, blah, blah. I don't need to sit here and read to you guys. That was all they had to figure out. And it was one of those things where like one of the groups got there really, really quickly and realized that there was a reason he seemed to be moving place to place. And others were like, what? What's he doing? And they were just trying to kill him. But the thing is that as he is lighting up these runes, he's healing from them, and like they're kind of like offering these. So it's like they realized pretty quickly, finally, that I said pretty quickly, finally, they realized finally, not pretty quickly, that like they had to destroy something to keep him from, having auto heal on. And then of course, because who wants to just fight one singular baddie? Of course, he was able to summon some friends, to kind of help him and to mess around with the party to try and like keep him from, so that way he could focus on getting rune to rune and completing his ritual while they messed with him. So then this is how I have my baddie stats done, is again, I've got them behind toggles, difficulty modifier, what it is that they're doing. And then I just do like little check boxes. So as I'm, like somebody takes a major wound, and I can just go in here and, okay, mark off 2 hit points, easy peasy lemon squeezy, like that. And that's how I'm usually tracking. Lately, I've actually kind of gotten more into paper tracking. So what I'll do is in Notion, I will have like my notes with like my DCs and the attacks and things like that. And then I'm showing y'all from this past weekend, one that I ran. Same thing applies where like I've got the boxes and I'm just like ticking off hit points as I go instead of trying to go back and forth on the screen. That seems to be a little easier for me. And then we've got the kind of he of course has a final form. I tend to have a lot of fun with that in Daggerheart. Jacob, to answer your question, what happens if they destroy the runes in the wrong order? He can keep, like, he's going in a calculated order, then he knows the order to it. So if they're destroying the runes in the wrong order, like they're basically coming back online because they weren't destroyed in the right order. So that's what I'm saying. It's like this puzzle where they're trying to figure it out, and then he's coming from this end and they're going from that end. That's pretty fun. And then, we've got his kind of like final, once he gets to like one hit point left, he, shifts from attacking directly to controlling the battlefield. He goes into this phase shift mode where if he takes damage, he can immediately teleport to another rune. And if a player's on that rune, there can be kind of a little back and forth there. And he also got this really cool ability of the spectral waltz, where any player who rolls with fear is forced and like, more or less loses their turn and is forced to dance with him, maybe in eternity. And then I finally also had this optional NPC Celeste, who we find out, of course, everything comes back to unrequited love. So her ghost can kind of come in and be heralded and offer a boon to all of this. So, yeah.
Nice.
So I'll pause here. I just talked for so long. And I'm not gonna put Matt on the spot and make him like show, but like what stands out to you is like what differs in terms of your prep and things like that.
I think for me, so my neurodivergent flavor is distractibility. And therefore overwhelmedness. So I've been making little notes, little comments on this. I know that you basically copy and pasted this, so a lot of this is not what I'm. This is for the actual. I'm also thinking about the eventual handout, but I love technology. I love design and I think that is in great part because I kind of rely on it to stay focused or to be able to be focused. And so I do a lot of the same things actually, but I steal a couple of things from Mike Shea, and I use an app called Tana, which allows me to write just exactly the way that you've written, but anything that I tag to be a NPC, a PC, an action, a celestial, a task, a secret, or something, immediately just shuttles itself into this beautiful sidebar. So I don't have to worry about anything that if I've overwritten, which of course I do, I overwrite all the freaking time, and so if I find myself getting lost in my own document, then luckily I have this sidebar that I can say, all right, I don't have to hunt for it, right? And so a lot of the things that I just commented on this particular thing is make it visual, make it. So the flow chart toggles, which is kind of the beginning of it. But for me, I will actually create a flow chart. I will actually see, because I like seeing the box. And if they do this, then go there. If they do this, then go there. And it's so easy to do nowadays. Another thing that I really, really utilize, similar to what I just said about the sidebar auto sidebar, is anchor links, or backlinks, or so I would go into the encounter flow, which is something we both do, and I would just make sure, number one, that all of the points are named exactly the same as the full data, as the full
Yep.
section, but then link them. Just don't make me think. Don't make me hunt and peck.
Yep.
I will take that time. And in Notion it's easy, in Obsidian it's easy, in Tana it's easy. It's just so easy now. You really don't have an excuse to. I mean, honestly, even paper. Even paper works because you can say
Join it up here?
if you do the flow chart, you say here's the page, and you just number your prep, and you say page 6. Okay, there it is.
Yep.
And you just keep that page 6. So yes, I love digital tools. But I also love analog tools. So that's not what this is about. This is about how to make the ADHD brain, the OCD brain, not get hung up or hit a roadblock.
Yes.
Well,
and
so
like,
let's see. Yeah.
I was going to say, I use this. I don't want y'all to think that when I'm leading sessions, I'm just, like the party's over here on my screen and I'm just this is more set up kind of to your point, like as a physical anchor for me. So if I get flummoxed, I can easily scan and be like, okay, I'm going to bring us back on track, because you're going to get knocked off course a million times in all the best ways. For good reason. I mean, that's the fun of it, right? Another thing that I think we should do in these handouts, if you go to the one that's party, what do you do right after your second, like, one thing that I think we've both learned recently is the magic of pausing and waiting and thinking and getting quiet. Like, if you are a GM that is prone to RSD, worry what other people are thinking because they're not speaking and they're taking a long time or no one's saying anything. Just letting them go, just like trusting the players are going to do their thing. They're going to step up. But instead of trying to fill the silence, which is uncomfortable for so many people. But if you don't have like a gregarious group, still, I mean, you can kind of feed them some stuff. So I think in our ADHD friendly easy mode modules, we should literally have a box that says, GM, don't say anything. Let them really ask. When you're asking the question, what do you do? Let them freaking answer that question, right? It's so hard for me sometimes because I just get into this. They're having a terrible time. I just go into this place, right? Yeah. But that's not necessary. It's so much of the time is not necessary. It's really not. Yeah. I don't know your life, but especially if it's a group that you know well. My life.
Yeah, just give them a little bit more time. I do know your life, but let's see, what else did I say?
Lauren, consider this your official invitation. I'm going to get you into a session with us because you should try it. Not every system has to be for everybody, but we want you to try it with us.
And here's the other thing. I feel like even that is becoming so much less important than it used to be. Like a year ago, 2 years ago. Which system sometimes? Like, I kind of wonder, because Shadow Dark, of course, is a quote unquote simplified or base level Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. That's a terrible way of describing it. I'm sorry. But it has its own foci. It has its own focus points. It has its own strengths. It lends itself to a particular kind of something, right? Yeah. And yet, Lauren, you have been able to stretch the boundaries of probably what Shadow Dark originally was to these great lengths, right? So that's why it's so easy for me to take up one of your pieces and insert it into a Daggerheart, right? Because it's at the end, this right here is the important thing. This is the story that you that you're responsible to. You are responsible for. You're responsible for this as the GM, right? You're just directing, and I don't know. I think certainly I don't love The Witcher. I don't love it. But there are lots of things about The Witcher I did love.
Yeah,
And I have taken that and I've put it into Daggerheart. Like there are some, amazing things that I'd never seen before. It's like, that's just great. So you can always have your fave, but I don't know. I love that we're in a world now that it doesn't matter as much. You could take this that you've written and absolutely de-Daggerheartify it.
Yeah.
Absolutely shadow darkify it. And or Nimble or D&D or anything. I mean, that's both with AI, or if you anti-AI, then just your own brain,
Yeah. And so for example, to that point, so as you were I loved everything that you just said. And I've never gotten to see Matt's notes. I don't know that I've ever really showed Matt my notes. This is after
I've never seen your notes. No, this is new for us too. Yeah,
a couple of years of working together, and I mean we even co-GM in a campaign and still have never seen each other's notes. It's interesting to hear stuff like that. But as you were talking, I was also realizing, because I think Rabbit had said something earlier in the chat, realize maybe he could have a fear move auto succeed. Yes, I wrote this in the dark days of Daggerheart beta when I think the most we could hold was 6 fear, which was just not enough, which is why that number got raised significantly. And so I do think that, like now there is, there's more that I could do to kind of like amp up and play with the fear of all of this in a way that I felt. And by the way, that's no shade to the beta. I love that we got to play in the beta. The beta is definitely what made us all fall in love with this system. But it is, heads and shoulders, leaps and bounds different from what it used to be like at that point. So there's a little bit of rework to do here. But to Matt's point, this will be put out for Daggerheart. But yeah, we would love it if people grabbed it and were like, I'm going to run it in Shadow Dark. I'm going to run it in Nimble. Like that would be the very best thing. Okay, with a few minutes left, let us know if you guys have any specific questions. You could double hacks it, give him an auto activate rune on fear, and when he activates any runes, he generates. Yes, exactly. That's like that sort of thing. I wasn't in that mode yet when I created this, but like now that I've and this is what I love the most about this is something I love about Daggerheart. Is that it's not so much that. Especially your baddies are just sacks of hit points, which I know everybody says that is not specific to Daggerheart, and I hear that. But because there are these case in point, even back here, I actually don't have his motivations written here because at this point I wasn't living and dying by that. He has features, he has attacks, but I didn't give him whereas so when I rewrite this now, Lord Callus is going to be about revenge, and he is going to be about clearing the path of anything that is standing in his way. And that's going to make, any GM who wants to pick up something like this so much easier to understand that nothing is going to stand in the way. Of this vengeful spirit, this person who now only exists to get back what he feels was taken from him. That is his, that is his motivation. And so we'll be going in. I'm just kind of looking over this in these last few minutes and seeing what needs to be rewritten. Rabbit's given some great ideas in chat today of how I can kind of amp up his fear features. Whenever Callus makes an attack, all players within far range must roll a presence save. So basically, he's trying to get him to dance with him was what this was about. And on a failure, they suffer a stress as their limbs seize into the waltz's rhythm. And on a success, they resist, but they can kind of still feel that thing pulling at them. But yeah, we could absolutely go to whereas he is spending stress, he's either spending fear or stress, he's gaining more fear and things like that with things like the rune activations. I love that. So I'll be kind of amping all of those things up. Okay. So I wrote this for level 6, which would mean that I kind of had taken adversaries in probably the tier 3. I'm curious how these damage thresholds. I'm now in the Daggerheart core rulebook. Okay, so he's got a difficulty of 14. That honestly feels a little wussy. I probably would amp that up a little bit more now that I'm seeing it. I'm seeing a lot of like 17s and 18s, so I would make it so he can kind of evade them a little bit more. How are his thresholds looking? 1630, 2240. So his thresholds are honestly looking pretty good compared to a lot of the other. I've got 2230. I could probably play with those a little bit. And this is something I do like to like play test with. We might even, one of the big things for that we want to do is start to play test some of these things. So maybe we'll do like a quick play test session of this soon where, I try and see like, do I want to raise his difficulty but lower his thresholds? Do I want to make hits, like raise the thresholds but make him easier to hit? Like what's most fulfilling for players and for me, quite frankly, in kind of the dance of all of this. So I'll want to kind of take those. I'll want to add those motivations in so it's not just him raking these, psychic attacks, reality rakes across them, but rather like clearing the floor of anything standing in the way of his beloved and his desires. And then for the mirror wraiths, I made these were just kind of there to interrupt the players and to kind of pull them off of the runes if need be. And so I made those tier 2s. And so those, have these. Like if I were, I say if I were to, I am rewriting this. That's what this is for, right? So as I rewrite this, they're, I would probably keep their difficulty around that, but they would have some motivations around disruption is what they were going to be built all about. So it's crazy what a difference a year can make. Whereas like even a year ago in the beta, I was only worried about like, what's his difficulty? What's his threshold? What's this, that, or the other. And now I'm like, what's my motivation? Why do I exist? As a ring wraith, not ring wraith, mirror wraith. So yeah,
Shiny.
It's great though. It's simple. It's light. It's like, I mean, I have a lot of. I think it's an interesting spin too. I was thinking, this is definitely probably something that the players experience after they know each other, but no, actually this could be a really interesting alternative to
a tavern.
In a tavern. 100%.
I do love that.
First level meeting in a tavern, it just goes wrong. We've been having so much fun, me in 2 different campaigns. I feel like it took me an eternity to really convince players that starting an absolute noob, an absolute non-superhero could also be fun, and then what makes them become superheroes? What are the factors? Well, going to a party. And then something goes so wrong, and they have to dig deep. I think this is right for that, and you can twist it in that direction where,
Well, and to your point, like one thing that I'm learning to love, and I actually did this. So yes, Matt, I can mea culpa now, but I say that it was a product of my new. When you're new to TTRPGs. And oh my God, I can take up arms against this horrible, corrupt world and do something about it. And I have magic spells, and it's, it's the thing that you want. And then as you continue to play, you're like, oh, but I can role play with my besties. I can make up worlds and, make friends and enemies and, like all of these different things, which, so now that I'm not so like focused on like, got to build a character, got to have spells, got to do this, got to do that. Yes, I'm more willing to start at that level 1. But at the time I was like, no, I want access to my level 2 spells at the very least. So I fought Matt very hard on, let's start at least level 3 in D&D. And I also, though, still maintain that I think, we started our new home game level 1, but Daggerheart is just a better, more satisfying level 1 game.
It is. I think it is. I think Shadow Dark is. I think I think there's a number of them that are a little bit more, and probably 5.5e. I can finally call it 5.5e is a little better too.
Yeah.
I know, finally. I was writing them every week. No, I'm kidding. What if I was?
Dear Wizards of the Coast, I strongly believe.
Yeah, I feel like they've made it a little better too, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes to all of those different things. There was a point to that that I have long forgotten now. It's almost like we have ADHD.
Oh, bless our hearts.
Bless our hearts and our ADHD ness and all of that. So there are a couple things that we'll need to kind of go back and clean up that are different now than were before with this. But I think this is I had forgotten. I mean, that like we really did cling to what we promised with this live stream, and we were like, we're going to do it all on the stream.
I've had fun in this hour. Okay, not only have these ideas that our friends have kind of offered up that we respect so much, but just seeing this in its raw-ish form. I mean, my brain has gone just chugging about all the things that we could do. Like one of the easiest. I mean, you say what you will about the cipher system. You could say a lot about it. You cannot knock Monty Cook for the vibes, pure vibes across the board. But one of the best things I think they've ever put out is the Darkest House game. It's not a game. It's like the Darkest House. It was software. Like there wasn't even a book originally. And man, is it easy to run that thing on the fly. It's so easy. And so I've immediately been like, I love how you've been saying you could just, with the level, just have a slider. I'm like, why not an actual slider? Like, what if you want this to be 6th level? Or what if you want it to be 1st level?
Yeah.
Just literally. And it just changes all of the stats.
Yep.
I mean, that's stuff that people spend too much time doing. And how could we offer that in a way in this age of, I don't know.
You guys are friends. Our best friends, Bud and Herb, have arrived. Hello, you guys. I remember what I was going to say. Okay, so I am leaning in something that I'm challenging myself as a GM to lean into harder that I tried, and I think I got away with for the first time in our campaign last weekend. You can tell me if this. I think for me, there was always, as a former combat gremlin, there was always this worry that if I let someone get away, that would not feel satisfying to the players in some way. It was just head trash that I wrote. That I don't know where that came from, because I don't know that I've ever felt that way myself as a player. But I've had myself convinced, as long as I've been GMing, that if I don't let y'all get the final kill, I'm a shitty GM. So to the point that you just made, Matt, about like this would be a really great adventure hook into a campaign or just a longer series of playing than just you meet at a tavern, is like we could either make Lord Callus lower level to meet the players where they are. We could introduce some banging NPCs who are able to help them finish it. And now we've trauma bonded over killing this entity, or we let him get away. And that kind of becomes the big bad. And I think earlier in my GMing, I wasn't able to like pull that off maybe. And so it for me as a GM, like it didn't feel satisfying to have the baddie get away. But that's what happened. So interestingly enough, and we didn't plan this, but we have in our Astral Sea campaign, we've been building up to this gala. And the past 2 sessions have been at this gala and a fight that has been going on there. And I didn't pre-write this, but in the end, what felt like the satisfying move to make, there was this rift, and they were like using a ritual to fuel opening the rift further and being able to pull some things through it. No spoilers there if any of our players are watching. In the end, you guys decimated the 2 bad guys. Well, the 2 main ones. There was a whole room of them. But like the 2 lead cultists, they just jumped through the rift. Like... And I mean, you tell me, Matt, I hope y'all didn't feel, Because now it's like, oh, no, okay, they're still out there, maybe, if they didn't die.
I mean, personally, I love that. I mean, I love a bad guy that gets away, for sure.
Yeah.
But, and comes back another day. But one thing that you did to kind of balance that is you had some sub-bad guys that we could smash.
Yes.
So there was both that feeling of, well, at least we got rid of those creeps.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess they're so powerful, and what are they doing? And so, yes, a cliffhanger.
Yeah,
Cliffhangers are good.
So this could be fun where Callus does get away if he's not ended by the party and their accomplices and lives to, torment in this. Because the whole point of Callus, right, is that he's in this very like limbo state where he can't fully die, but he's also not living. And so, okay, those are some things to think about. I'm excited. Like I said, I'm excited now about packaging this up, and I think we're going to have to grab some players and do a little play testing with all of this, because there is just so much you don't know until I didn't know if any of this was going to work until I ran it, and then I was like, oh, this not only works, but it's fun as hell. I do want to call out, Jake Kev said older editions of D&D were all about that slow burn in terms of leveling, but they finally realized that in the real world most campaigns don't last that long.
So, interesting. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. We do have.
I never remember. Yeah, I don't remember it being a thing, leveling up so much. But yeah, that does make sense.
Yeah. So. Okay. Well, we're gonna do.
This was fun.
We're gonna do more of these. This was our maiden voyage into plotting things out without a without a lot of prep. And for y'all to behold. We hope that you'll join us in this and future endeavors. If you're watching this back later, I know chat's been feeding us some, and then we'll definitely take those comments. But if you're watching this back later and you either have any questions or suggestions, hit us up in the comments. That kind of thing's so much fun. Let's see, what did Rabbit say? Reintroduce the Lord Callus later, and he's puppeting a new bad guy the party has encountered as companion or literally puppet. Yeah, there's places this could go.
Hi.
I'm Lord Callus. I'm a little bitch.
I'm Lord Callus. I'm a happy boy.
I have a crush on every boy.
That would be great. I mean, I would be scared if that happened.
Amazing. So yeah, we've got the link to our Patreon is down in the show description, and that is the place that we will be having these play tests and the final version of this in the coming weeks, and then so much more. So Bud and Herb, they've suggested more, and Matt and I have given it some thought, and we're gonna go with that suggestion. That sounds great.
Thank you. Thanks, Bud and Herb. Yeah. Okay, great. I mean, I was really on the fence, but I think now
we're locked in. We're locked into more.
Locked in. Thank you.
So yeah, thank you guys for joining us for this.
Until next time, I can't wait to see what we do with this before next time.
Yeah, and maybe next time update from a ball to a campaign fundraiser. Yeah. Soon maybe we will have things like you took Matt out with that one.
Why not?
I'm gonna I'll make like on the VTT one of those big like thermometers where like the fundraising goes up, and like what will we be trying to like cure or raise money for? This will be great. Yeah, we're gonna do this.
Owlbear Relief Fund. I don't know what the relief is, but some sort of.
I love that is the upgrade, Josh. Upgrading from a ball to a. I love it. I'm so into this.
Yes. See, we've already benefited so much for this.
So very much. We don't have any fancy end credits just yet because we launched this less than 2 weeks ago. So we're because Matt and I wanted to challenge ourselves to not wait until things are perfect before beginning. So one day soon we will have fancy schmancy end credits. But in the end, man, you guys I keep trying to wrap it, and then you guys keep being funny. There's a plot hook. The villains are a crowdfunding campaign to pay. Yes.
A GoFundMe. Yeah.
The real villain is the healthcare system, whatever realm this is in, and he's just trying to heal. Okay.
Oh god.
Art imitating life a little bit too much sometimes.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Amazing. Well, we will have to do more of these. This was a ton of fun for our very first one. So thank you guys so much for joining us and making that fun. And we'll see y'all on the flip side.
Yeah.
Need to go out.